Hello, today's topic is manufacturing mobile. Many of you probably have never heard of it. It is quite new to NetSuite. It's an augmentation to the WMS product. My name is Michael Sullivan. I'm a solution consultant at PSP. I've been at NetSuite for 8 years. Prior to the 8 years at NetSuite, I spent around 20 plus years in manufacturing and distribution, working with several mid to large ERP companies in Europe and North America. Let's get into the details here. So the fun part here is that manufacturing mobile is included with the manufacturing suite. So once you have work orders and assemblies, that should be available to you as a user interface. The main component of this piece of functionality is that you can record work order completions through a mobile device that could be sitting, on your shop floor. Could be a touch screen, could be a laptop, could be desktop. You can also issue material. If you're doing a completion, you can backflash or manually issue material. It registers the user, it registers the work order, the work center where that's happening. So again, if it's flowing through your production, right, theoretically every work center could be completing their part of the process. All right, let's look at NetSuite. So this is a typical dashboard in NetSuite. The way I got here is if you go to Manufacturing Mobile Overview, and it has a link here. It also has a couple of standard saved searches that are built into here, which shows the actual transactions, right? The shift it happened on, the date, the ID, right? Some of the consumption information. Let's go look at the app itself. So once I click on this, I'll start with a new session. So anyone that's using WMS, this should look somewhat like what you're used to. So this would be if you're using the whole warehouse management, picking, packing, shipping, you would do this. The pack station's another new element that came in about half a year ago, but we're going to focus on manufacturing mobile. So when I go in here, so think of it, a user is saying, I work in San Francisco. I work at this particular assembly station. This is the date that I'm working there. I'm working shift number 1. And I'm starting my day working. Now, the first thing I'm going to do once I am complete is I'm going to find my work order. Now, if you had, a printed manufacturing traveler, you could just scan that. If you knew the work order, you could just type it in. I'm just going to load the next one and find it, and here's mine down here. Work order 769. And at the same time, let me show you over here the actual work order. All right, so this is what we're dealing with on the shop floor. Again, you can see it's at that location. If we look at, it's got one component. What's important here is this particular tab, Manufacturing Mobile. And this is where I'm defining that I will backflush something, and it will be a real-time backflush. That means the transaction will be updated as I scan it. So that is one key component. The other is that the work center up here, which in NetSuite is a group, that under the Manufacturing Mobile tab, you define the bins, the location, the status, and the staging bin. So this is really just defaulting information for the purpose of scanning it. So again, got a work order, it's linked to an operation, right, which is linked to the work center, and the work center has information about manufacturing mobile. That's as much as you need to do to use this particular tool. Now, in the mobile device, we can see that we are logged into that work order, that assembly. It's taking my username. So in this case, I am called Catherine Glass, and I only have one operation, and I'm going to trigger it. Like I said, if it wasn't backflushed, you could actually issue materials here as well, but it knows that it is backflushed, so it's ignoring that point. So now it's asking me the quantity. I am going to enter the quantity, confirm production. So one thing to note, if that item was serialized or lot controlled, I do have the capability of recording a lot number or a serial number with it as well. I'm going to say I'm done. And now I could go on to the next step, or I could switch to another work center. So maybe I'm multitasking, working multiple work centers, but I'm just going to submit the work. And I'm going to say I'm done for the day. I had like a 5-minute shift. I think that's enough for the next day. So what would be happening in the background is that transaction and whatever other transactions I recorded are coming back to the work order. Notice the status changes to in process. That is a work in process work order. When I go under manufacturing mobile, you'll see here's the actual transaction information that's occurred. So we're recording the user, the timestamp, everything that goes with it. Under related records, when I click on here, we're going to see the actual completion, which is something that you could have done manually through the Office user interface, but I did it through the manufacturing mobile interface, which then updated and created this work order completion. All right, got the same information, created in the build. Again, if it was serialized, it would have updated that. And it brought in the dollar values from that particular. So what's the benefit? It gives the users out in the shop floor an easier to use user interface with potentially a touch screen capabilities if it's a tablet, of course, or one of the newer laptops. All right, that was it. Actually, it's so easy. It only took a few minutes. So that was manufacturing mobile. I hope that helped you. If you already have work orders and WIP, reach out to your BSP team and find out how you can start using manufacturing mobile. So if you're interested in this topic, feel free to contact BSP. The solution consultants and implementation people can definitely help you with this. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully we'll see each other again.